Minecraft just released the newest game drop for all platforms, Mounts of Mayhem. This drop adds the new spear weapon and 5 new mobs, including a new hostile skeleton called the Parched and 4 new rideable mounts that you can find throughout the world. There's also a ton of other important bug fixes, and Minecraft also just announced that they are changing how updates are named going forward. So now every update will be named after the year it's released in, so the next update isn't going to be 1.22, but instead 26.1, because it's the first update of 2026. I also got an exclusive interview with a senior Minecraft developer, so if you want some interesting inside details about how Mounts of Mayhem was made, future Minecraft updates, parody, other weapons, and much more, watch until the end of the video, but let's check out everything new in the Mounts of Mayhem update. Probably the biggest feature of this update is the new spear weapon. You might actually end up replacing your sword because the spear is actually so cool and it has insane movement capabilities as well. So of course there is all 7 different types of spear, from netherite all the way down to wood, and all these have different attack values of course, but they also have different stats for timing, which we'll get into later. The spear is a widely available weapon. You only need 2 sticks and a diagonal like this, and then 1 material at the top, and it really is just that easy to make these things. Now if you want to get the netherite one, of course you're going to need a diamond spear, the upgrade template, and a netherite ingot in order to get the netherite spear. Various mobs around the world can also spawn with the spear, and they actually know how to use it, whether it be a charge or a lunge attack. So zombies, husks, piglins, and even zombie pigmen can spawn and even use the spear if they are riding something. There's 2 different modes of attack with the spear. Your primary attack is just a quick little jab attack, and as you can see, you have quite the range on this. This gives low attack damage, but it does give some knockback. You'll notice that when we attack, all the spears on our hotbar get this cooldown, and if you use a heavier spear like a netherite, that cooldown is going to be a lot longer, as you can see. So even though the netherite spear does a lot more damage, it's going to be a lot slower to attack, which makes sense. Now your secondary attack is the charge attack. This is where you press and hold the button, and as you can see, there is 3 different stages to the spear when it's in this charge attack mode, and the netherite spear, being the heaviest spear, has the quickest like drop. Now the wooden spear being the lightest, you can hold this out in front of you and do a charge attack for much longer. Now the damage that you do when charging is based on the material of your spear, of course the enchantments on your spear, and how quick you and your target are moving relative to each other. So if we hold down our attack button and then just walk into this, as you can see, nothing happens. But if we hold down the attack button and then run into this, as you can see, we're doing damage and knockback to all those armor stands. So there's 3 stages to the spear. There is engaged, which is the horizontal mode. There is tired, when it switches to vertical, and then there is disengaged when it's pointing downwards like this. Now each one of these different stages has different abilities. So engaged, you'll be able to do damage, knockback, and even dismount players or mobs from whatever they're riding. In tired mode, you'll only do damage and knockback, and then in disengaged mode, you will only do damage. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated. Now there's also a minimum attack damage as well. So if you're standing right up on a mob, you're not actually going to be able to hit it. As you see, I hit the 3rd armor stand back, but neither of these 2. And then if I back up a little bit, as you see, it's going to start attacking those ones in front of us. So if you are stacked up right on an enemy, you will not be able to hit them. Now you can actually do jousting with the spear if you're riding a mount like a horse and you hold out your spear. As you can see, you can hit absolutely everything in your path and basically just obliterate everything if you have a fully enchanted spear. It is pretty cool. And again, if you're going fast enough and the spear is engaged correctly, then you can actually dismount mobs or other players from whatever they're riding. So yes, we legitimately have jousting in Minecraft now. And yep, you can even do this with the elytra as well. So if we engage the spear, as you can see, we can just one-hit kill even some basic mobs with an unenchanted spear. It's pretty crazy. And remember, the faster you are traveling, the more damage you'll do with a charge attack. So you can really stack this up if you do some elytra flying with rockets. Another important thing to know is that the jab attack can actually hit multiple mobs at a time. As you can see, we're hitting tons of these golems all at once, and this is actually incredibly good for Bedrock Edition because we've never had a way to do this. If you use a sword, you can only ever hit 1 mob at a time, but now with a spear, boom, we can just apparently get destroyed by an iron golem. But now if you have a bunch of mobs stacked up into one pile, you can actually just hit a bunch of them at one time with the spear. And of course, you can have sharpness, fire aspect, and looting on your spear to actually give you all of the good drops. So now we can have Java-style kill chambers on Bedrock Edition for the first time ever. When it comes to enchanting the spear, you can have every single sword enchantment on it, including fire aspect, sharpness, looting, mending, knockback, and unbreaking. As you see, the netherite spear does 11 attack damage compared to the netherite sword's 14 attack damage. Now, the spear also comes with a new enchantment, the LUNGE enchantment, which has 3 different levels. And basically what this does is it's going to launch you forwards whenever you use the jab attack with the spear. Now, this is not a treasure enchantment, so you can easily find this in loot chests around the world. You can get it from librarian villagers, or you can even get it from the enchanting table as well. I enchanted just a couple of spears here, and as you can see, several of these have LUNGE on them, but it might take you some time to actually master this thing, because depending on what angle you are looking at, that is going to determine how far it actually lunges you forwards when you attack. So if you're looking perfectly straight ahead, that's going to give you the maximum distance. Now, the max distance that you'll ever be able to lunge is about 10 or so blocks. If you look straight ahead and then jump, that is just about 10 blocks of distance. Now, the higher your lunge enchantment, the further forward you'll get launched, of course, but it's also going to consume more hunger. So because I just ate some golden carrots, we can lunge a couple of times before it actually takes anything out of our hunger bar. But now that we've lost 1 haunch of hunger, as you can see, if we lunge again, there goes another 1.5, and just more, and it quickly depletes your entire hunger bar. So there is a little bit of a food meta here. You're going to want to fill up that bar really quickly and then get some high saturation foods. That way you can lunge several times before it actually starts taking away any of your hunger. There's some advanced movement that you can do with wind charges and a lunge spear. It's a lot easier on Bedrock Edition due to mechanical differences between the games, but basically you're able to run, jump, throw a wind charge, look forwards, and then lunge with your spear. But it looks a little bit something like this, and you don't really take any fall damage because of those wind charges canceling your fall damage. So you can do this without armor, and you can actually travel quite far pretty fast with this method. As you see, we just like went 150 blocks pretty quickly. Probably the most interesting new mount is the Nautilus, which you can find in all ocean biomes. And honestly, these guys are pretty adorable, but they're also useful. When you find a Nautilus, you can lure them and feed them a bucket of pufferfish right here, and that gives you a chance of actually taming them. As you can see, you can get the hearts right there, and then you can actually ride on these guys, as you can see. Now, if you open up your inventory, you can see that we have a new UI for these guys. You can put a saddle on them, and that allows you to actually control the Nautilus, and they have the same controls as the Happy Ghast. Now, there's also a dash function with these guys as well, as you can see. Something really fun about these guys is you can actually launch out of the water with them, and they can launch pretty far. Now, they do die on land, of course, because, you know, they're an aquatic mob. They do take a little while to actually die on land, but they will asphyxiate, and then they'll start dying pretty quick because they have very, very little health. And as you can see, he's taking a lot of damage. I'm sorry, poor guy. He died of dehydration. That does not sound fun. So yeah, don't put your Nautilus on land. It's not healthy. Don't do it. Now, when you're on the Nautilus in survival mode, you can see that we're going to have ourselves a new effect with the adorable little Nautilus icon. This is the Breath of Nautilus effect. Basically, it just keeps you from drowning. So whatever air bubbles you have when you get on it, you're going to maintain those air bubbles, and you won't drown while riding around, which is great. There's also 5 different types of Nautilus armor that you can find. None of these are craftable, but you can find diamond, gold, iron, and copper Nautilus armor in places like the underwater ruins, shipwrecks, and even buried treasure. It is going to be very expensive to make netherite Nautilus horse armor, but it can be done. You need the full netherite upgrade template, diamond armor, and of course a netherite ingot, and that gives you the netherite Nautilus armor. Another thing to know is that you can feed these guys the buckets of pufferfish to actually breed them, and that will give you the baby Nautilus, which is absolutely adorable. As you can see, this guy is so cute and tiny. I mean, look at how adorable it is. Oh my god. Now, if you want to speed up the growth of this guy, again, you just feed it more buckets of pufferfish. Also, you can just click on these guys with some armor, and that will automatically apply the armor to them. If you want to remove that armor, you can either just open up the inventory and take it off that way, or you can click on them with some shears, and that will take off the armor first, and then a saddle, which could be helpful in combat. When it comes to natural behavior, sometimes you'll find these guys dash attacking and killing a pufferfish. I've never seen it happen, but allegedly they do attack pufferfish. Also, if you tame these guys, they have a pretty similar mechanic to happy gas. So if you tame them and then get off of them, they're going to kind of just hover around the area that you left them within about 32 or so blocks. But if you have a saddle or armor on them, then they're going to stay within about 16 blocks of wherever you dismounted them. And yes, you can lead them as well. And yes, you can also drag them out of water with a lead and then take them for a nice little ride through the air. I mean, look how much fun he had. If you want to actually tame these guys, you have to use the bucket of pufferfish. But if you want to lure them or breed them once you have tamed them, you can use the buckets of cod, salmon, or the tropical fish, and that actually works for breeding them. The buckets of axolotl and tadpoles don't appear to do anything. You know, lucky for them, I guess. It really seems like we should be able to scoop up the little baby Nautilus in a bucket because they're about the same size as an axolotl, but you just sadly cannot do it. Also, if you attack an untamed Nautilus, they will actually fight you and they will lunge into you, and it's actually kind of dangerous. They move pretty fast, they do a lot of knockback, and they can even do a couple hearts of damage. The much cooler Nautilus is the zombie Nautilus. You can rarely find these guys throughout the oceans in the world, and they'll be ridden by a drown that oftentimes has a trident as well. This is going to be an actually difficult fight for you because they are fast, they move around a lot, and of course those tridents do a lot of damage. Now the cool thing about this is even if you kill the rider of the Nautilus, if there's another drown nearby, it can just get on top of the Nautilus as well and just keep driving it. So you could just have like a hijack situation happen. Even if you go ahead and you manage to kill the rider without killing this guy, it can be stolen. Grand Theft Nautilus out here. The really cool thing about the zombie Nautilus is you can also tame these guys with the buckets of pufferfish. You can ride them and you can have them as your own little cool pet, just like the regular Nautilus. These guys are identical in every way to the normal Nautilus, but they are objectively 10 million % cooler. Now these guys do actually burn in the daytime unless they are wearing armor, of course, and they do not actually take any drowning damage on land. So if you want to, you can technically ride them on land, even if they really aren't very good at it. It's technically possible. They're not gonna die. So if you want to, you can totally have one of these like in your base, just like on a shelf. They don't move around on their own or anything, so they're actually a pretty cool decoration. Like maybe you can have this part like sticking through a wall or something. I don't know. There's a lot of decoration possibilities, and they also sound pretty neat. They make some really bubbly sounds, so this might actually be really great for like a bathtub or like a hot tub or something. And as you can see, it is daytime, but he is not burning because he's wearing armor. There's also the rarer coral zombie Nautilus variant that you can only find in the coral biomes. These guys are honestly super cool looking. There's no coral version of the normal Nautilus, but the zombie Nautiluses do have the amazing coral texture. If you really want to, you can keep these guys alive in your base or on land. You can either put them on top of a slab with some water in it and then just use them as a chair. As far as I've seen, they're never gonna like move or jump out of here on their own like a dolphin would, or you can have them much further into the ground. This guy's on top of a trapdoor with some water, and then I pushed a carpet on top of him, and now you can actually sit on top of this guy, and he's great. You don't even really need the saddle on there, and he's just like chilling. He's just kind of in the floor, just having a good old time. Also, your camera is much further out when you're actually riding these guys. I'm pretty sure they just copied that directly from the Happy Gas. And next up, we have the zombie horse, which has finally made its way into survival Minecraft after a decade of being in creative mode only. So these guys only spawn at nighttime when you're not in peaceful mode and in plains and savanna biomes. Now, I don't think you can get the baby horse in survival, at least I haven't seen it. They always spawn with a rider, and they can't be bred either, so I'm pretty sure this guy is creative only for right now. These guys are pretty rare, and you're unlikely to find one in any given night, so keep looking if you haven't seen one. But as you can see, the zombie horse always spawns with a zombie rider holding a spear. This one happens to have an enchanted spear, so fighting these guys is going to be a little bit complicated because they actually know how to use that spear. Like, they will joust at you. As you can see here, if we block this real quick, boom, he still gives us the knockback there. He has a fire aspect spear, which is crazy unlikely to have happen. But yeah, these are going to be really fun to fight. Ow, I'm in full netherite, by the way. This guy's doing a ton of damage. Your best bet might legitimately be to get on top of a tree and then just shoot the guy with a bow though, and that's probably the easiest way to save that zombie horse from despawning. So the zombie riding the zombie horse will actually drop a red mushroom when you kill it, and if you want to actually lure this guy or heal him, that is how you do it. Red mushrooms is their favorite food. Now, once you've actually killed the rider, you can just go ahead and hop on this guy, and it's going to be the same methodology of taming normal horses. So just click on them with an empty hand. Eventually, you'll get the heart particles over a few tries. And then if you want to actually control these guys, you need to actually put a saddle on them. And other than that, everything about them is pretty much what you would expect. Now, you cannot breed these guys or get better attributes on them in any way, shape, or form. So if you want one with better attributes, you're going to have to hunt down another one and hope that it's slightly better. Now, these guys will actually burn in the daylight unless they are wearing armor. Even though the zombie horse is a undead mob, it does actually float in water. It probably shouldn't. It should probably be like the skeleton horse, but you know what? This is a gameplay change that they decided to do. Our next new mount is the Camel Husk, which you can only find in desert biomes, and these guys are going to be ridden by 2 hostile mobs. So these guys only spawn at nighttime in the desert biome, and again, they are pretty rare, so you're not going to see them immediately or all the time when you're exploring these places. When you do finally stumble upon them, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially in the early game, because you're going to be having a husk with a spear on them, and you also have the new parched mob on there shooting weakness arrows at you. So just like the other husk and parched variants, the zombie husk camel does not actually burn in the daylight. They also only spawn on the surface, so you'll never find them down in caves or anything like that. Now, he does actually sit down while he's got the riders on him, so that's kind of fun, but otherwise, yeah, it's going to be a kind of a challenging guy to fight because he's going to be charging at you. He's got a lot of mobility, and the parched up there can't actually shoot the husk in front of him or the camel. He can only shoot at you, so he's not going to accidentally hurt himself in confusion. Also, it's just really high up there, so like it's going to be a difficult challenge to actually hit those guys off of there without killing the camel itself. Literally 1 heart. Am I just bad at this game, or are these guys actually good at the game? Now, this guy is basically identical to the normal camel in essentially every way, so if you do not ride it, it's just going to despawn, but as soon as you actually hop on it for the first time, then it will become a persistent mob and never despawn. Of course, you'll need to put a saddle on him if you want to actually control him. There's no sort of armor or anything like that, but if you want to lure him, it's actually rabbit's foot that is the required item, and then of course you could feed that to the guy as well to help him regenerate some of that lost health. Now, the husk that's riding him has a 50% chance of dropping a single rabbit foot when you kill it. Now, just like the regular camel, this guy does actually have a little bit of a dash and a jump that he can do. Look at the little ears. They're adorable. And finally, we get to the newest hostile mob added to Minecraft, the Parched, a new skeleton variant that you can find in the desert biomes. This will replace some of the skeletons that spawn here, not all of them. You can still have regular skeletons spawn in the desert. So these guys obviously have a really cool texture. Now, they do not burn in the daylight. The thing that makes these guys unique to regular skeletons is the fact that they shoot weakness arrows. So the reason why these guys might actually be really useful to you in the early game is because they can drop some of these weakness arrows when you kill them, and of course you can use these on zombie villagers to actually cure them instead of having to go to the nether and get full-on weakness potions or anything like that. If you use a piercing crossbow, you can also just infinitely reuse these arrows. This is by far the easiest way to actually get the weakness arrows in Minecraft. Now, you probably noticed that this guy shoots a lot slower than a regular skeleton. It's similar to the bogged, and that's of course because he's shooting tipped arrows. They had to nerf the guy a little bit, so he's not going to be insanely difficult to fight. There's also a very rare chance that you'll find a parch riding a spider or even a cave spider in the desert. Of course, the cave spider you can only get from the cave spider spawners. This feels like a 1 in 1,000. I spawned so many of these guys. So this is yet another rare mob for you to collect in your Minecraft world. Another fantastic change in this update is now horses, zombie horses, donkeys, mules, and camels will no longer dismount you when you actually walk into some water with them. So no longer is a small, tiny little river or stream going to completely ruin your horseback riding across the world, because now it doesn't kick you off anymore. It is absolutely incredible. Now, they've also added a netherite horse armor in this update as well, and that's not what it looks like. My texture pack is broken. As you can see, netherite horse armor does actually look very, very nice. There's absolutely no way to find or craft the netherite horse armor, so it's going to take a diamond horse armor, the template, the netherite ingot, and boom! That is going to give you this actually really good netherite horse armor, which is 19 armor, 3 armor toughness, and 1 knockback resistance, versus just the 11 armor of the diamond horse armor. We've also had a number of bug fixes and changes to Bedrock Edition, so let's hop into those. A Bedrock exclusive change is now kelp will actually dither if you get close to it, so I can see it's going to slowly disappear and unrender as you get close to it. Now, if you don't actually like that being an option, then you can go into your settings, which is this teeny tiny little button down here. It might be impossible for you to find. Go under accessibility and then scroll down until you find somewhere in here. So block dithering is right here, and you can simply turn that off. For some reason, it is on by default, but as you can see, now it is no longer going to unrender that kelp or glass or mobs or anything else in the game. More of a technical change, but water only absorbs and blocks half as much light now. So a single layer of water used to block 2 layers of light every block down that you went. So after, 5 blocks, it would block 10 layers of light, but now it is half as much. Ultimately, I don't think this is going to affect too much with mob farms. However, the big effect that you'll notice on this is actually in terrain around the world, because the bottoms of the rivers and oceans and all that stuff are going to be a lot brighter now, twice as bright, really. So previously, they would be like pitch black down there, and now it's actually going to be a lot brighter. They also just added a new splash text. One does not simply walk to the far lands, of course, in reference to Kurt J. Mac walking to the far lands for 14 years and finally completing his journey just recently. This makes Kurt one of the very few people to ever be recognized with a splash text in Minecraft. Spawn eggs have also been reorganized in the Bedrock creative inventory, starting off with overworld mobs. You got farm animals, and then there's mounts, pets, wild animals, aquatic mobs, miscellaneous things, golems, villagers, the undead mobs, spiders, monsters, and illagers, all the way down here at the bottom. And then you get into all of your nether mobs and the end mobs. And this makes sense. At least there is some sort of, logic to the organization at this point. I'm pretty sure this has been missing on Bedrock Edition for like a decade, but now the critical hit sound actually plays when you get a critical hit. So listen to this. Incredible. I don't have a great way to show this, but baby zombie jockeys can only ride certain mobs now. I'm pretty sure they used to be able to ride any mob in Minecraft, but now we have a definitive list of what baby zombies can actually ride on Bedrock Edition. This is still a Bedrock exclusive feature to my knowledge, and because they just changed it in this way, it seems like it's going to stay on Bedrock Edition. It doesn't seem like they're going to remove this. I'm pretty sure the ratio is remove 10,000 Bedrock exclusive features and then add 1 to Java. So this might be the one that Java gets, guys. We've had another nice change to Bedrock. So if you go into settings from the main menu and then you scroll all the way down 12,000 years to the storage, and here you're actually going to be able to see unlisted worlds. So these are worlds that previously failed to delete or didn't get imported properly. So it's basically just like an empty folder or another broken world. So you'll be able to actually select that world and then delete it now. Previously, they would just be in your worlds folder, taking up space. So I actually got the unique opportunity to ask some questions to Minecraft's senior product manager, Anna Lundgren, and this was supposed to be mostly focused around, like, Mounts of Mayhem and the feature sets of that, but I actually asked a number of other questions kind of broader, and surprisingly, all of them were answered, so that's sweet. So starting off easy, what inspired the Mounts of Mayhem update, and what exactly does Mojang look for in these updates? Now, I'm going to be paraphrasing here. Of course, you can pause to read all these questions in full, but essentially Mojang was looking for a mounted combat update to round out the year, seeing as how, the Spring to Life and Chase the Skies and Copper Age updates were all about exploration and building, etc. And of course, they realized that everyone enjoys the mace mechanics and the unique abilities of it, so they wanted to add a weapon with similar mechanics that is a lot more accessible. I was also curious how long Mounts of Mayhem had been in development, since that's always a big question in the community, and we saw that basically all the features were playable in September at Minecraft Live, and as you can see here, there is quite a bit of different things that go into determining what the next Minecraft update should be. It's not as simple as just add this mob. There's a lot of decision making and coding and testing and previewing and all these things behind the scenes. The spear is the biggest feature in the MOM update, so I was curious why they chose to add that specifically, and they wanted something that worked well on a mount and had longer range than the sword. And interestingly, it seems like they tried out several other weapons, curious to know what those are, and they landed on the spear, and honestly, I agree, it does look really good in Minecraft, and I think it fits the game really well. Now, during the update cycle, with all these snapshots and previews releasing for the MOM update, there was a lot of discussion about the skeleton horse traps potentially getting an update, or maybe the parched dropping sand, because that would be super cool and renewable sand would be amazing, and also the option of having new nether mounts being added to the game. So I asked a bunch of questions about those three things in particular. Now, the 4 horsemen and the nether mounts didn't quite fit this update, but of course Minecraft is one of the most feedback and community driven games out there, so if we just keep pestering them, I'm sure one day they'll make a change. We also have some more details on why the new update number scheme doesn't bring parity to Bedrock and Java update numbers, and essentially it's just because Bedrock Edition gets a lot more updates. I really didn't think this question would get answered, but this is possibly the juiciest one out of the bunch, so I saved it for last because watch time is important. But basically, I asked, are they going to be releasing more big updates? Because it seems like we're only getting small game drops here and there throughout the years, and that's pretty much just the plan going forwards. But it seems like we are actually going to be getting other big updates, which is great. Of course, there was the Vibrant Visuals update, but it's kind of like a separate kind of side thing, of course. Now, this has been my pet theory for a while, that they were like secretly working on 1.22, which is now... how do we speculate about what the next update number is? I don't know. Anyway, I've been speculating that they're working on a big update behind the scenes while pushing out all these smaller game drops, and it seems like maybe they are. Now, I don't want to say it's the end update, but I mean, it could be the end update, guys. So huge thanks to Mojang for reaching out to me for this opportunity. This was actually really cool. I've never gotten to interview a Minecraft dev before. Pretty sweet. So let me know what you think about the answers and the questions down below, and maybe we'll have another opportunity to do more of these someday. But thanks for watching, and subscribe.